I let my old boss treat me like his little secret. Now my husband's making me the talk of the town. Hi, Reddit. My name is Amanda. I'm 26 years old. I used to work as a secretary in a real estate office until I got married and quit the job. But my boss still chased me. That was where everything started. My boss, Mr. Peters, was someone who was highly respected. He had been working for years. He was older than me, married, with kids. He was seen as a good family man. I didn't know what was ahead when I first started working there. I got the job not long after finishing college. It was nothing special, but it was enough to meet my needs. I worked at the front desk, answered emails, typed reports, and did what I was told to do. At first, I didn't notice Mr. Peters that much. He was just the man in charge, walking past everyone with his phone in hand and a serious look on his face. Few months later, he started talking to me more, like he started picking interest in me. At first, it was nothing much. He asked about my weekend, told me I did a good job with some reports, things like that. I thought he was just being friendly. Then he started calling me to his office for little tasks that didn't really need me. I noticed how he smiled at me more than the others. It made me feel seen. At home, things were calm, very calm. I was married to Japhet. He was a good man. He had a quiet way of showing love. He helped out, never raised his voice, and trusted me. I didn't have any reason to hurt him, but when I started getting attention from Mr. Peters, I didn't pull away. I told myself it was nothing serious. Maybe he liked me for the good job I do. Soon I was staying late at work to help with things Mr. Peters said he couldn't trust the rest of my colleagues with. We started spending more time alone in his office. He bought me snacks. He gave me compliments that felt different. I laughed more at work. I dressed nicer. I started checking my phone during dinner, waiting for messages from him. What started as light flirting turned into something serious. The first time something physical happened between us, I told myself it would be the last time. I went home to Japhet feeling like a different person. I cooked dinner like always. We sat and watched a movie. He held my hand. I smiled and nodded and acted like everything was normal. But deep down it wasn't. I had already opened a door for serious trouble. Mr. Peters didn't stop, and I didn't want him to. He started texting me even after work. He would ask to meet me after office hours. Sometimes we met in cheap hotels outside town. Other times we just stayed in his car in the parking lot. I should have said no. I should have walked away. But I kept going back. He made me feel like I was the one he wanted, even though he had a whole family at home. He told me not to tell anyone. He said this was just between us. He didn't want problems. I agreed. I didn't tell anyone at work. None of my friends were aware of what was going on. I never said a word to Japhet. I became very good at lying. I'd say I had to work late. I made up fake meetings. I acted tired when I got home. Japhet believed me. He never asked too many questions. He trusted me so much. At work, a few people started looking at me differently. I don't know if they guessed what was going on. Maybe they just noticed the way I smiled when Mr. Peters passed by, or how often I stayed back after others had left. But no one said anything, and I acted like nothing was going on. I thought I could keep it all under control. I thought I was smart enough to live two lives. I kept telling myself I would stop soon, but I never did. I liked the way Mr. Peters made me feel. I liked the attention. I liked being the one he chose, even if I was just a secret. I didn't care enough about what Japhet would do if he found out. Looking back now, I can't believe how far I let it go. I thought I had power in the situation, but I didn't. Mr. Peters never planned to leave his wife. He never promised me anything. He didn't even ask about my marriage. I think I was just something he used to pass time, and I let it happen. At that time, I didn't see it that way. I thought I was in control. I thought I could handle it. I didn't know how badly it would end. I didn't know how much Japhet had already started to see. He didn't talk much, so I thought he didn't notice anything. But he did. He was watching me without saying a word. I didn't know it, but he had started picking up signs. He saw how I avoided eye contact. He noticed how I stayed awake and kept checking my phone at night. He saw how I stopped caring about the little things we used to enjoy together. But he never asked. He never confronted me. That scared me later, because it meant he was planning something. I just didn't know it yet. At that point, I still believed I had everything under control. I had Mr. Peters at work. I had Japhet at home. I thought no one would ever find out, but things don't stay hidden forever. And when the truth came out, it didn't just end my marriage, it changed how everyone saw me. Guys, I met my husband 3 years before I got the job where Peters was my boss. Japhet was kind, honest, and always calm. He was never loud. He didn't like attention. He just wanted peace and a simple life. That's what I liked about him in the beginning. He made me feel safe. He listened when I spoke. He didn't rush anything. He was just there for me, always. Our wedding was bigger than what I ever expected. We moved into a nice apartment in the city. Life with Japhet was stable. He worked hard, came home early, and always helped out. He didn't go out drinking. He didn't cheat. He didn't raise his voice. I knew he loved me. After Japhet and I got married, I quit the job because Japhet was capable of taking care of everything at home, including my bills. I didn't see any need to work. In the first year of our marriage, things were fine. We shared everything. We ate together, talked about work, and took walks in the evenings. I wouldn't lie, guys. House was a little bit boring for me. I kept complaining about it to my husband, and he tried all his best to make it comfortable by giving me extra money to have fun. But it wasn't working. I made it through the first and second year of our marriage. But in the third year, guys, I couldn't. Besides, Japhet didn't force me to quit my job. I did. I thought I would have fun by staying at home or going shopping. After I started working at the office where Mr. Peters was my boss, I slowly became different. I didn't notice it at first, but the way I looked at Japhet started to change. I started comparing my husband to Peters. Mr. Peter was lousy and funny. I guess that was the part I was bored at home. I was missing Peters a lot. Throughout when Japhet and I got married up to our third year of marriage, Mr. Peters and I didn't meet or text each other. According to Mr. Peters, he was keeping boundaries. Not until one day I decided to chat him up with a new line. I introduced myself and we started talking. From there, we planned to meet. We met at a coffee shop not too far from his office. The first meeting after I got married wasn't indifferent for me. I only missed his company. Every other thing was normal. So guys, after that meeting, my affair with my old boss continued. Kept my phone close to me at all times. I changed my password. I deleted messages. I erased call logs. I became something that I was sure Japhet was surprised about. Even when he asked me if I was okay, I would smile and say I was just tired. I told him house chores were stressful. I said I needed rest. I made up stories to avoid intimacy. I stopped making his favorite meals. I forgot our small traditions. I stopped caring if he looked hurt. There were moments when Japhet looked at me for a little too long, like he was trying to figure out what was going on. I would act normal. I would laugh or kiss him quickly and walk away. But deep down, I knew he was starting to notice changes. He didn't say anything, though. He let it go. Maybe he was hoping it was just a phase. Maybe he thought I was going through stress. Maybe he trusted me too much. Mr. Peters, on the other hand, didn't care about my husband. He never asked about Japhet. He only asked if I was free. He never brought up feelings. We never spoke about having a future together. He would tell me where and when to meet him, or ask if I could come over to the office after the staff had gone. I said yes almost every time. He gave me attention, and I acted like that meant something. I told myself Japhet would never find out. I was careful. I always acted like all was fine. I turned off message notifications. I made sure every app on my phone had a password. I was living 2 different lives. One at home, where I pretended to be tired but loyal. One at Japhet's back anytime he went to work, where I cheated and acted like someone free and single. It became a habit. I got used to lying, but the guilt was always there, always present. Sometimes I would lie next to Japhet at night and feel this heavy silence between us. He wasn't a fool. He just wasn't the type to shout or fight. He was watching everything and keeping it inside. There was a time when he asked me if I still loved him. I said yes. I could not look him straight in the eye, but I defended myself, saying I was just busy and tired. That moment still comes back to me sometimes. He looked at me for a long time and nodded. He didn't ask again. I didn't realize that was the moment something inside him started to shift. The sad part is that even while I knew I was hurting him, I kept going. I kept choosing Peters. I told myself Japhet would forgive me if he ever found out. Or maybe I thought I could fix it before it got too far. But the truth is, I wasn't planning to stop. I liked the feeling of being wanted, even if it was fake. I liked the thrill. I didn't want to face my real life anymore. Guys, I didn't know that Japhet had started checking things behind my back. He had noticed times when my location didn't match where I said I was. He had seen some messages before I could delete them. One night when I was in the shower, he had even taken photos of my call history, but he said nothing. That was the part that scared me later. He never yelled. He never told me what he knew. He just stayed quiet. I didn't know he had already made up his mind. He was just planning his next steps. Back then, I didn't see any of it. I thought I was in control. I thought I was smart. I didn't know I was walking into something I wouldn't recover from. Japhet was never the kind of man to fight back with words or anger, but that didn't mean he wouldn't fight back. I just didn't know what his version of revenge looked like yet. After some time, being with Peter started to feel different and irritating. In the beginning, it felt exciting, even special, but slowly things changed. He stopped treating me like I mattered. It was always the same. He would message me when he wanted something, and I would go. Most times when we had sex, it felt rushed and empty. I felt like I was being used. He never wanted to go to nice places. He didn't take risks. He didn't want anyone to see us. He said he had his name to protect. He didn't want gossip or trouble. He picked places outside the city, cheap hotels, parking lots, the office store, or sometimes his office after hours. I always came when he called, but every time I left, I felt smaller. There were moments I sat in his car afterward, feeling dirty and alone. I would feel guilt heavy inside my chest, but I still didn't stop. I just kept telling myself it was too late to turn back. I had already ruined so much. Eventually, I tried to pull away. I told Peters I needed space. I said I felt tired, that I was losing myself, but he didn't take me seriously. He would stop for a day or two, then send another message like nothing had changed. He still wanted to meet. He still wanted things on his terms. I said yes again. I didn't know how to say no to him. I was afraid of what he might do if I pushed too hard. At home, Japhet grew even more quiet. He wasn't cold, but something in his eyes had changed. He no longer asked if I needed anything. He didn't wait for me like before. He stopped hugging me when I came home. I noticed, but I didn't ask. I thought maybe he was just tired of being the only one trying. I didn't know that he had already seen more than I thought. I didn't know he was building something in silence. I thought I was hiding things well, but maybe I wasn't. There were times when I left my laptop open and I didn't realize I hadn't logged out of my email, or times when I left my bag carelessly and he could hear my phone vibrate nonstop. One weekend, Peter said he wanted to meet. I told him I couldn't. He insisted. He said he missed me. I agreed. We met at the same place we always did, a small hotel just outside town. I was sitting on the bed while he talked on the phone with someone from work. I looked around the room and felt disgusted. I looked at myself in the mirror and didn't like who I saw. After we were done, he left first. He never stayed long. I sat alone for a while. I didn't cry. I just stared at the wall and thought about Japhet, about how I used to feel safe with him, how he used to hold me when I was stressed, how he once picked me up in the rain when my car broke down. I had destroyed that for cheap moments with someone who would never claim me in the open. When I got home that evening, Japhet was in the living room watching TV. He didn't say anything when I came in. I stood for a moment waiting for him to look at me. He didn't. I went into the bathroom and stared at my face. I felt like something was ending, but I didn't know what yet. The next week, I noticed that Peters avoided me more than usual. He didn't ask us to meet as usual, and any time we did, he looked nervous. He didn't send any messages. I started to wonder if something had changed. Peters was pulling back. Japhet was growing distant. People were watching me more closely. I started to panic. I was still pretending everything was fine, but my heart knew something was coming. One night, I walked into our bedroom and saw Japhet staring at his phone with a serious look on his face. He looked up at me, then turned off the screen. I asked him if he was okay. He said yes. Nothing more. I stood there waiting for him to say something. A question, a word, a fight. But he just got up and went to the kitchen. I wanted to speak, but I didn't know what to say. I couldn't even explain why I had done everything. I couldn't say it was because I was unhappy. Japhet wasn't perfect, but he never hurt me. He never made me feel unsafe. I had no excuse, and I knew it. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stayed awake thinking about all the lies, all the times I had smiled at Japhet while hiding so much. I thought about Peters and how easily he could walk away from this. I started to wonder if he was already planning to cut me off completely. I didn't know yet, but Japhet had already finished gathering everything he needed. He had screenshots, he had call logs, he had hotel receipts, he had messages I thought I had deleted, he had printed them, he had saved them on a flash drive. He had been watching me for months, and I had no idea. At that point, I felt tired, not just physically. I was tired of hiding, of lying, of being someone I didn't recognize anymore, of being used. I thought maybe I could still fix things. Maybe if I ended it with Peters completely and focused on my marriage, there was still hope. But it was too late. Japhet had been quiet for too long, and that silence was no longer patience. It was something else, something I wasn't ready for. Guys, I didn't see it coming. I thought Japhet would never notice and stay with me. I didn't think he would plan anything. I didn't think he had it in him. I thought he was just tired, hurt, and quiet. But he was far ahead of me. He was done waiting. He had already started making moves behind my back, and by the time I noticed, it was already too late. Very late. It started on a Friday. I went to the office to ask Peters why he was avoiding me. The office felt strange that morning. Some of my old colleagues looked at me, then quickly looked away. Mr. Peters didn't say anything to me. He kept his door shut and told his personal assistant not to let anyone in, including me. When I walked past the hallway, 2 women were whispering, looking and pointing in my direction. I tried to ignore it, but my hands were shaking. I knew something had gone wrong. When I got home, Japhet wasn't there. His car was gone. His personal stuff went all out of the house. I sent him a message, but it didn't deliver. I thought maybe he was in a bad signal area. I waited for hours. He didn't return that night. I slept on the couch, heart racing. I called him the next morning. The line rang, then stopped. I sent a few more messages. He didn't return the calls and didn't reply to his messages. Then the doorbell rang. I thought it was Japhet, but I was wrong. It was a man with a large envelope. He said he was just delivering documents. I collected and closed the door. I opened the envelope. Inside were divorce papers. My name was there, boldly written. Japhet had filed. There was also a small note attached with a printed list. It showed all the evidence he had collected. Voice records of calls, emails, screenshots of texts between me and Mr. Peters, even photos of me leaving that cheap hotel. My hands were shaking as I read it. There were dates and times. He had details I didn't even remember. He had printed everything and made copies. My eyes couldn't stay still. I felt numbed. I ran into our bedroom, but it was already empty. All of Japhet's things were gone. The drawers, the closet, the side table. He had moved out. I went to get something that afternoon. My card didn't work. It declined. When I checked my account online, the balance was 0. Our joint account had been emptied. My personal account had been closed. The money was gone. I called the bank. I was told that Japhet had withdrawn everything the day before. I asked about reversing it, but the account was in both our names. He had every right. I drove to my sister's house to calm down. She opened the door and didn't smile. She asked if it was true. I asked what she meant. She told me someone had sent her an email with all the proof. The email had a folder. It had everything. She didn't even want to hear my side. She said it was disgusting. She said Japhet was right to leave. I tried to speak, but she walked away. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about how fast everything was falling apart. The next morning I checked my email. Dozens of new messages, some from old friends, others from people I hadn't spoken to in years. They had all received the same thing. Japhet had sent it out. He had sent everything. Screenshots, pictures, call logs, even the hotel name and check-in times. He didn't send it to just family and friends. He sent it to my school group, my old co-workers, even the neighbors. I don't know how he found all their emails. He must have spent weeks gathering everything, maybe months. I was afraid to go outside. That Sunday I stayed in bed. My phone kept buzzing. Some people blocked me. I got messages from unknown numbers calling me names. I stopped opening them. My face was hot. My chest felt tight. I wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Mr. Peters didn't speak to me again. I heard from someone else that he had begged the board not to fire him because his wife was the general manager, and he was just heading it because it was his wife's inheritance. He blamed me for everything, said I had thrown myself at him, said I had faked everything. They believed him. He still had his job. Later that week, my parents called. My dad asked me if it was all true. I couldn't speak. I just cried. My mom said they needed time to process everything. Then the call ended. My own family didn't want to see me anymore. I tried to call Japhet. The number had been disconnected. I sent an email. It bounced back. I went to where he worked. The lady at the front desk said he no longer worked there. I asked if she knew where he had gone. She said no. For a moment, I thought about going to Mr. Peters. I thought maybe he would help. I called his number. It rang once, then nothing. He blocked me, just like that. After everything we had done, after all the risks I took, he erased me in seconds. I sat on my bed with my phone in my hand for an hour, staring at the screen. That weekend, a woman came to my door. She said she had just bought the house. I didn't understand. She handed me a paper. Japhet had sold the house before filing for divorce. The papers were signed. The money was already gone. I had days to leave. I asked her how this was possible. She said Japhet handled everything legally. I called the number on the paper, and the lawyer confirmed it. I had no claim. The house was his before marriage. I had no rights to it. I packed my things and left quietly. I moved into a small rented room a few streets from our neighborhood. I had no job, no savings, and no one to call. I avoided social media. Everywhere I went, I felt like I was being talked about. Japhet didn't shout, he didn't fight, but he made sure I lost everything. He made sure no one would look at me the same again. He let everyone know exactly who I was, and then he disappeared like I never existed. I heard from someone that he had moved to another city, that he got a new job and was doing well. I used to think revenge came with yelling and breaking things. Japhet showed me a different kind, the kind that doesn't raise its voice, the kind that doesn't warn you, the kind that lets you destroy yourself and then opens the curtain so everyone can watch. After everything that happened, I thought maybe someone would reach out. I thought someone, even out of pity, would ask if I was okay. But no one did. It was quiet, too quiet. That was what made it hurt more. Not the insults, not the shame, but the silence. People didn't call me. They didn't text me. They just removed me from their lives. Some unfollowed me online. Others just stopped replying. My own cousins avoided me. I wasn't welcome in most places I used to go. I became someone people talked about, but never to. I tried applying for jobs, but no one called me back. I knew some of them had seen the emails. One job interview ended quickly when the manager looked at my name and went silent. He told me they would get back to me. I never heard from them again. I went on one of my social media handles one afternoon just to see if maybe someone had posted anything about Japhet. His account was gone. But people were still sharing posts, old photos of him smiling, captions saying things like, "Real men don't speak, they just act." They were talking about him like a hero, and maybe he was. I searched for my boss's name out of curiosity. He was still working, still married, still fine. I saw a picture of him and his wife at some event, smiling. People were commenting nice things under the post. No one blamed him. It was like none of it touched him. I was the only one who had to carry the weight. Some days I went out just to clear my mind, but I couldn't walk far. I felt eyes on me even when no one said a word. I walked past an old friend from school at the grocery store. She looked right at me and walked the other way. Another day, a woman whispered something to her daughter while pointing in my direction. The girl looked at me in some type of way like I was disgusting. Even inside the rented room, I didn't feel safe. The walls were thin. The neighbors didn't speak to me. I kept the curtains closed. I started waking up tired, even after sleeping all night. My chest always felt heavy. I didn't cry much anymore. There was no point. The pain wasn't loud anymore. It just stayed with me, quiet and steady, like background noise. I started thinking about the last time Japhet and I sat together in the living room. It was weeks before he left. He didn't speak much. He just sat beside me, watching a show we used to enjoy. His hand was on mine, but he didn't reach out. That moment stayed with me more than the day he exposed me. That quiet moment was when I lost him. I just didn't know it yet. Sometimes I imagine what he must have felt every time I lied to him. Every night I came home with someone else's scent on me. Every time I smiled and said everything was fine. He never screamed. He never called me names. He just let me keep lying until he didn't need to anymore. Then he used the truth to finish me. and he didn't even stay to see what was left. I wish he had shouted. I wish he had screamed and thrown things. I wish we had argued. Maybe then I could have had something to hold on to. But Japhet didn't give me that. He gave me silence. He gave me the kind of revenge that doesn't break the bones, but the mind. My family didn't come to visit. My parents were still upset. They didn't say it, but I could feel it. I tried going back to church. I thought maybe that would help me feel normal again. I walked in and sat at the back. Some people turned to look. I stayed for the service, but no one spoke to me. After the final prayer, I waited, hoping someone would stop me and ask how I was. No one did. I had to leave. I went back home and took off the clothes I had worn, as if that would shake off the feeling. It didn't. The silence followed me back inside. It followed me into the shower. It remained with me. I always woke up sweating, heart racing. Then I'd look around the room and remember that all that happened was real. This was my life now. There were moments when I thought about messaging Mr. Peters just to ask if he regretted any of it. But I knew he didn't. He had already moved on. He never looked back. He didn't lose anything. He didn't face shame at all. And I was still living in it. I learned something during all of this. Sometimes silence is louder than anger. Very loud. Update. Hello, Redditors. It's been 8 months since everything fell apart. Since Japhet left. Since the emails went out. Since I lost the job, the house, my place in the world. Some days I wake up and feel like time has stopped. Other days I look around and realize I'm no longer the woman I used to be. Not even close. I live in a different town now. I had to leave the old one. It became impossible to breathe there. Too many people knew. Too many eyes followed me. Too many whispers behind closed doors. I tried staying quiet, laying low, pretending things would calm down, but it didn't work. So I packed what was left of my life and moved. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I found a small room to rent in the neighboring town. I don't have much. No pictures, no decorations, just the basics. I keep to myself. I walk to the small store nearby when I need food. I don't speak to the neighbors. No one here knows my story, and that's the only reason I can breathe again. I got a cleaning job. It's not much, but it pays weekly and keeps me from thinking too much. I cleaned machines, sweep floors. I work 5 days a week. No one asks about my past. They just tell me what to do, and I do it. I've learned to move in silence, to keep my head down, to stop expecting anything from anyone. Sometimes while cleaning, I catch myself thinking about how fast everything changed. 1 minute I had a marriage, a home, and respect. Next I had nothing. Just shame and silence. I still have not heard from Japhet. I tried to send him an email 3 months ago. I wrote the whole thing, then deleted it before sending. I realized I had nothing to say that would matter. He had already said everything by walking away, even if I still hoped he could speak to me. I heard through someone that he's doing fine. He moved out of state, started a new job, and bought another house. He looks better in the pictures I've seen, healthier, happier. He doesn't look like a man who lost something. He looks like a man who freed himself. And maybe he did. I also haven't heard from Mr. Peters. Not one word. He didn't even apologize for what he started. He erased me as if none of it ever happened. I saw a photo of him at a company event recently, wearing a suit and standing next to his wife, smiling. He got away with it all. He kept his job, his family, his image. I was the only one who paid the full price. Maybe that's what hurts most, that I let someone like him throw me away so easily, and I destroyed the one person who never would have. My parents still don't call. My mother sends short messages on holidays, nothing warm, just a word or two. I understand. They're embarrassed. I brought shame to their name. I don't blame them. My sister hasn't spoken to me since the day I showed up at her house crying. She told me to leave. I left. That was it. There are no friends left either. Everyone I once laughed with has gone quiet. Some blocked me. Some just faded away. Not one person stayed. I thought maybe someone would check in, ask how I was holding up. No one did. That silence changed me. Now, I go days without speaking to anyone. I don't miss people as much as I used to. I've gotten used to my own company. I've learned how to carry guilt without letting it destroy me. I don't cry every night anymore. But sometimes when I lie in bed and the room is too quiet, I feel everything all over again. I remember Japhet's silence, the way he walked past me like I was a stranger, the way he gave me peace for years and I gave him lies. There are no plans for the future. I don't think about tomorrow too much. I wake up, I go to work, I come home. That's all. No more pretending. No more hiding. I just exist. And maybe that's enough for now. I used to think I had time to fix things. I used to think that if the truth came out, I could apologize, and life would give me another chance. But that was before I saw what silence could do. Before I watched my own life collapse, not because someone destroyed it, but because I did foolishly. I regret being cheap. I regret my actions each day and wished all that happened was a dream. I would be the happiest if it was really a dream. But sadly, it isn't. The biggest mistake I ever made was to allow my old boss to treat me as his little secret. Now, I have to pay the consequences. I don't blame him that much because I was foolish to have messaged him after I got married. If I had stopped and respected the boundaries Mr. Peters claimed after I got married, maybe I wouldn't have ended up this way. I really missed Japhet and my old self. I missed how we used to be happy whenever we were together. I wish we could go back to how we used to be when we first started. If wishes were horses, guys, I would ride on it.